Okay, welcome. We're going to do a little review today. Um, in this review, I'm just going to cover kind of what happened in the market today and, let me know what you think. So S&X, kind of interesting. S&X was up 7%. This is a technology company. They own some pretty heavy cloud computing capabilities. They bought off IBM recently in the past few years. You can see they made a new 52-week high just the other day, and they pulled back from that now. If we look at the 1 day, check this out. It's kind of interesting. They're up over 2% during the day, and they finished down 1.5%. That's crazy. I think this post market's kind of interesting. I mean, it doesn't even say what the size was, so that's interesting. I do think it's interesting to study things like this. So if anything, if you're watching this video, keep an eye on SNX. What happens when it hits that 52-week low? There's a lot of psychological things that go on with traders when we get into 52-week lows. So, it's definitely something to look at. SYX, this one's really been moving. It's definitely a momentum play. I mean, look at that thing. 3 months, and then we're doing 200%. I bet you 6 months. I mean, that's some pretty good returns. So that one was down today. I thought that was interesting. Nike's been making a comeback ever since it had those 2 gap down days. What was that? Last week or 2 weeks ago. And so it's been making consistent up days. You can see gap down there. That was a gapping move, and we've come back up. So that one's good. KeyBank, sorry about this. I like what I'm seeing in KeyBank today. I was getting a little worried last week. I actually haven't looked at this one too much, so a little bit below average here. And one thing I like to do to kind of like really look at the stock, what happened in the last few minutes of trading, right? That I think that's very important. So smart money steps in the last few minutes, right? And unfortunately, we have an extremely large negative bar here. If that was an extremely large positive bar, that would have been great, right? So another way you can look at what's going on with the market in general right now, or the industry in general right now. Check the ETFs, the financial ETFs. What were they doing today? Were they up today? They have massive selling at close, and call it massive selling, but for every buyer there's a seller. For every seller there's a buyer. So even if there is large volume here, that's just smart money changing hands, if anything, with a little bit more selling pressure than buying pressure, maybe. That's just a thought of mine. So there you go. That's KeyBank. Let's go ahead and switch on over to my shit me watch list. So I got some 2 really horrible stocks on this watch list. I try not to even look at this one because it just makes you look at crummy stocks half the time. This is Hertz Rentals. This is Avis Rentals. They spiked today on some news. I'll even go ahead and I'll pull up. This one was only up 2% this morning, and now we're up 14%. So that was definitely a good day for them. We'll go ahead and take a look at the daily chart. Let's see if we can't figure out anything here. Okay, so I've actually switched over to TradingView here. I'm not a big fan of TD Ameritrade's charting service, so I do use TradingView. If you've watched any of my other videos, we talked actually about last week on AMD, how can we trade AMD on the 5-minute chart. So real quickly, I actually wanted to take a pause from the TD Ameritrade review and hop on over to here. Last week I introduced an idea of how to trade the 5-minute chart using commodity channel index, as well as the stochastics. Over here you can see that I have the MACD still on. Forgive me for that. If you've watched my video, and hopefully you have, I'm going to try to burn through this real quick. I will provide a link in the description to last week's video, so stay tuned, and here we go. So if you want to make an entry on the 5-day chart, on the 5-minute chart here, one thing that we can do is, I'm a big fan, if you want to make an entry, so let's say you were back here and you wanted to make an entry, but you didn't know when, and then all of a sudden it dips down, but you still want to make an entry. Where do I buy at to make sure that I'm not being the last buyer? Well, buy once it breaks the previous high. Here's the previous high, here's the previous high. If we can break this level right here, let's buy. And you can see we gap up this morning a small amount and we push through that level. And this is a buy signal in and of itself. Now if we look over here on the commodity channel index, hopefully you watched my video last week. We talked about the 50 crossing as an aggressive buy signal potentially, but we also talked about once we move above 100, go ahead and stay long. And you can even go ahead and stay long until you can say from here until we go negative, or you can just say from here to here. So use it how you want, practice with it, look at the entry points, and here we go. So if we buy right here, that gets us in this region right here, and we get a little bit of a volume confirming that buy signal as well. This is volume weighted if I'm not mistaken, and maybe it's not, so somebody's gonna roast me in the comments, I'm sure. But if we move higher here above 100, buy, stay long. You can either get out here, which would get you out in this area right here, or you could have gotten out right here if you were to get out right there. So there's that. The stochastics is also there to help us. If I buy whenever the stochastics goes above 80, as well as the commodity channel index, that's one way to get us into the trade. Another way to get us into the trade is when the stochastics comes back above this line right here, and the commodity channel index is also crossing above this line. You can also consider that an entry point if you would like. Now keep in mind, I've seen this really only works for momentum. If you don't really have momentum, don't try to do this. The stochastics is really good for things that are moving sideways to a little bit of upside. So this isn't crazy exponential in through here, so the stochastics is working pretty well for us. So there's that quick review, and we're gonna spend about a minute on the Hertz chart here. If we get in when we cross above 100 here, you're getting in this region right here, and you truly do get in before this massive move, and you even have a little, maybe you don't, I don't know, you have volume confirming on this bar right here, but hopefully you would have gotten in before then. MACD is also kind of giving the signal despite it being a lagging indicator. You get an entry on MACD in through here if you buy that cross right there. It's a little aggressive, but I'm not going to cover all the technical analysis here. Hopefully you know what I'm talking about. I'm just reviewing this stuff. So I'm going to move on, and I'm going to get out of TradingView. Okay, and back to TD Ameritrade. Let's go ahead and look at this shit list that we got here. I added this one the other day. This is a metal material company. They've been moving a lot lately. If we just look at them, CBI moved a good amount today. Vail moved a good amount today. They are again material and metals. CLF, FCX, okay, it moved a little bit. CLF was moving this morning. It was up like 2-3% this morning, so that thing really came down. We'll go ahead and take a quick look at that on the 1 day. Yeah, you can see on the 1 day it was definitely up this morning 2-3%. So and it finished down. That really shows some weakness, especially on the daily. We're seeing a double top there. And keep in mind this is just a percentage timeline there, but let's continue on. I've lost a lot of money in LPTX, but I will say they traded 61,000 shares today. I don't think they've ever traded that much before. This got listed on the Russell Small Cap Index the other day, so I thought that was interesting that there was so much volume today. I'm not going to pull up their chart because it's pretty worthless. Let's go ahead. Kinder Morgan up a little bit today, but if we also look at MPLX has had 2 days in a row of 2% gains. They were touching 31 the other day, and I even considered MPLX is a steal at 31, but they have low exposure to commodity prices, but I really didn't want to be wrong. Sorry, so I did not buy them. But if we go ahead and look here again, I really don't like TD Ameritrade's charting platform, and no resolution here, but they were touching upper 39s, and they just made their way all the way down to 31 right here. I was looking at buying them in through here, so I think that's interesting if they cross this MACD, this trend line, moving average right here. As long as they clear both of them, they're probably good for a little bit of upside. Let's get out of here and quit rambling. So if we go ahead, STZ saw a little bit of a sell-off today. I thought that was interesting that they've been making higher highs consistently here. If we notice here, Acacia as well as ACLS faced pretty significant losses today for both of them. ACLS has been going on a super long run for since 2015. Acacia is still trading in a downwards wedge. No signs of breaking out anytime soon. So this is kind of the market update for today. I'm sure most of you are not still watching, but in case you are, we'll go on over here to sectors and industries, and we're going to pull up the sectors and industry graphical map. So kind of interesting, information technology in the red today. They were in the green on Friday. Same thing with energy. They were in the green on Friday, as well as healthcare. Healthcare has seen pretty nice gains recently, just on political news and whatnot. Potential lax pricing from the government as far as Medicaid goes, because Medicaid kind of sets the how much insurance companies are paying for drugs. So it sounded like Medicaid wasn't going to hike up their wasn't going to put pressure on the drug companies, so drug prices look like they're going to stay steady for the time being, and so healthcare has seen a rally from that recently. Keep an eye on the date. This is 6/26/2017. I forgot to mention that. Telecom is seeing an update today. Telecom was down on Friday, so that's interesting. Utilities up across the board. I really need to take a look at utilities because I've seen utilities up across the board for a while now, and considering that utilities is a end of cycle sector normally, I think this says a lot. Something that I saw, financials was down on Friday, and financials is up across the board today. I was very happy to see that, to be honest with you. Bank of America was down though. I thought that was interesting. I believe they were down at least. Let's double check here. Oh, they finished the day up. They were seeing some selling pressure early in the day, but so this is kind of what's going on in the market right now. I think it's very interesting. Real estate has been going up for the past 3 months. So really the REITs have been getting a lot of attention. So I guess that's probably all that's really in real estate. I'm not too versed in real estate, but just going through these, you can see utilities. Every single one of them's green. Look at that. Every one of them. We need to pay some attention to this. Definitely. I want to do some research into there. If I find anything, I'll post a video on it. Construction going up again. Industrial is doing well today. Something that I bought on Friday that I thought was really interesting that it was down today was, what is it, Parker Hennepin? So I'm probably pronouncing that wrong and slightly embarrassing, but they were down today, and I wasn't sure why. They did pretty well on Friday. Anyways, I made a pretty aggressive entry on them, so I don't even see them in here. Anyways, I'll quit rambling. This is kind of the market wrap up for today. So I hope you enjoyed. If you have any comments, please drop them. If you happen to like this video, I'd love to hear it. So subscribe if you'd like some more of this. I do trade reviews on a weekly basis, and I also teach technicals. So stay tuned, subscribe, like, comment. Thank you. One thing that I forgot to note, I hopped on Yahoo Finance today. I normally don't get on Yahoo, but homepage, there was a market review, and this gentleman right here was talking about bond rates, 30-year bond rates at all-time lows, closely correlated with mortgage rates, and they were claiming on here that actually the U.S. Fed is not raising interest rates to prevent inflation. Rather, it's raising interest rates to generate capital in case it needs to, pump some money into the economy when there's a recession. Kind of some bearish talk. I could be misquoting some of that. So, nonetheless, I thought that was interesting. I wanted to put it in here in case you watch this video. Highly recommend you check out this video on YouTube. So I'll try to put this link in the description. But thank you again.